Hello and welcome to Talk a Good Game. It's the preview of the first ever FA Cup game at London Stadium between West Ham United and Manchester City. I'm Joe from Hammers Chat. We're in association with our sponsors, Royal London Watches. I'm Jason with me and our new guest, Charlie. It's not the beardy Charlie, we've got another Charlie. He's got his own YouTube channel. The link is below. Go have a look. He's been in New York. He's been vlogging it. It's an alright watch, actually. But Charlie, let's start with yourself. Has Man City got bigger priorities in the FA Cup given their league form?
Well, yes, obviously, but if you take into consideration what priorities they have and how easy that they could easily turn us over, which, say, given our current form and what people may view us as this season, priorities I don't feel like are what they're going to be focusing on. They're going to be approaching it in a champions mentality that they want to win every single game.
What about yourself, Jason? I think this is a good time to play Man City. Not only is their league form being a little bit wonky, but Chelsea are on a winning streak. Liverpool are doing well. Arsenal right now are getting beat, but until now, Arsenal have been doing well. Man U's in form. Spurs are in form. Everyone around them's in form. I just feel that this is a competition Pep could probably do without. Or do you think that this is a competition he needs, Jason, so that he can get the win, get morale going, and the fans can maybe just realise that actually, yeah, he's got a good thing going here?
I mean, to be honest, we've got like about 10 days or so till our next fixture. I can't see why he wouldn't at least give it a go. And to be fair, it could be give them a chance to pick up their form again. You know, they came out that 2-1 win or 3-1 win. I can't remember which one it was. So I think, yeah, as Charlie was saying, he's got the winning mentality. He's got the squad depth to at least give it a proper go, even with losing some of his key players in the African Cup of Nations. So I can't see why he'd shirk it.
Jason, do you think this is a kind of game that Pep, at the weekend when his post-match conference, it looked like he was getting a little bit peed off with our media over here because they weren't giving him they were not giving him an easy time. The fact that he won, they were still having a little go at him about beating Burnley with 10 men. He looked a little bit like he's just getting a bit annoyed.
To be honest, I don't think he likes the media game at all. I mean, if you see like every press conference with him, he's always got his head in his hands. You just hear that heavy, you know. Then I just don't think he enjoys the whole pre-match, post-match sort of media duties that the managers have to do. I don't think it's his style. I think he would rather just hold himself away and just crack on and, you know, let his team do the talking, which again has been a bit suspect to say the least, much like his interviews.
Yeah, can't really blame the media in this country. Got knives, as far as we know, with the London Stadium and the crowd. They like any sort of negative thing. Charlie, am I being harsh on Pep Guardiola and Man City, or do you think they are actually having a good season? Because they are still they're still in the title race. They're in the Champions League knockouts.
Are you being too harsh? No, because I think when you've built up a persona around you where you have raised, say, like example, previous job, Bayern Munich, where you are champions. That's what they are. They were champions. They were practically undefeatable. They played great football. Boring at times, but they got the results. They did everything which they needed to be done. But when you go to another championship team, like Champions League team, you expect them to be hitting it off the blocks because that's what Pep Guardiola is. Pep came in, it was like, oh, Pep's coming, Mourinho's coming, it's going to be an incredible season, and you kind of have those expectations, which I think is what a lot of fans are guilty of, is building high expectations and believing that they deserve something simply because of a name or the right of what the name of their club is. Like City, they bought their success. I don't have a single problem with that. Good business, people coming in with money, invested well, and they've done well off that. They've got a fantastic manager in Pep. Do I think he's too arrogant? Yes. I think he should probably change tactics sometimes. I think he's guilty of poor tactics in a sense that whilst it works off well when he does something a bit off the beaten path, which is what he is. He's a bit mad like that. But then when it doesn't work, he just carries on, if you get what I mean. But fantastic manager still, nonetheless.
Well, let's part the Man City talk because we'll be doing the review live after the game on Friday on the channel, so you can come along and join us for that. We will also play them on the 1st of February in the league, so we'll be speaking about them in 3-4 weeks' time. Anyway, the man in the middle at London Stadium is Michael Oliver, the best referee in the league. West Ham's record in the FA Cup under him, we've had him 3 times. We've won 2 and drawn 1. So cheers, Michael. Man City, however, have only had him once in the FA Cup competition, and they lost. West Ham have not had Michael Oliver this season at all. Man City have had him twice. They drew 1 and lost 1. So they're not doing very well, Michael Oliver in charge. omen, hopefully. But let's talk about West Ham now. We're going to have to make at least one change, Jason. In the start against Man United. Now, let's assume Feghouli gets his red card overturned, which we're all expecting. Let's assume Feghouli will be available. We've still got to replace Czechia. Or would you make more changes, or would you just change to one player?
To be honest, I find the cup games are sort of the time to give when I say like second string, I mean the sort of people that found themselves on the fringes, that sort of opportunity to come out there and stake their claim. I mean, this is how we did with Randolph. That's how he sort of forced his way back in the team, albeit a couple of Adrian mistakes. But, you know, we've got to give Adrian the fair crack of the whip. If Randolph's getting the league games, I think it's only fair we start Adrian in the cup games and give him a chance to sort of win back the shirt. Other than that, I mean, our squad is a bit threadbare at the moment, especially across the back four. So I wouldn't really change anyone along the back. It'd be more in the centre of midfield, like you said, with the loss of Czech Kouyaté, Andre Ayew, Feghouli, if he doesn't get his card overturned in time. But even if he does, you know, it's probably not going to be until the Palace game in a couple of weeks. So we're probably going to be looking at either Noble or Fernandes, along with Obiang and Lanzini in the middle for me personally. And I'd like to see a wild card option really from Slav. I think this is the sort of time where we can bring out the youngsters, just give them a chance. This is the one of the few opportunities we can have where we have no repercussions on the league and just give someone a chance to sort of stake a claim for themselves. And I'd like to see, instead of perhaps Antonio on the front three, I'd like to see someone like Domingos Quina get a run out, even if he only plays for about 45 minutes. Just it gives us something a bit extra. And then on top of that, I would say, following on with having Carroll and Payet along the front three.
What about yourself, Charlie? Would you like to see some of the youth in there? Jason wants Keane, but you've got, I suppose you could count Ashley Fletcher as well. You've got Martinez banging them in at youth level. Are you hoping to see some of them?
Well, yeah, I was just literally about to pip in, but I really like the look of Marcus Brown and obviously Reece Oxford. And I think those are two players that have performed consistently at their respective age level. I think it's only right for them to be able to push in occasionally here and there. Playing Keane, Oxford and Brown against City is going to be completely impossible. But playing one, maybe maximum two, or starting one, giving one a huge start, I think would be great. In pre-season, we started Keane a few times, and to be honest with you, I thought it was bloody fantastic. We've got Fernandes, which was actually initially bought not as a starting player, possibly the under-23 development squad player, and he's shown he's more than capable. I think he's one of our strongest players in it. Well, not strongest physically, he's so weak, but as a technically gifted player, I think he's way up there, and I think that is only right because you've all seen Keane. Keena's fantastic as well. Just give them time to mature, but bring in one, maybe two. Wouldn't risk it for three against a team like City, though.
Yeah, I have to agree. I would like to see Fernandes in centre midfield alongside Obi. I'd like to see Fletcher up front, actually. As for the younger kids, if you like, those two are, while we might class them as kids, they're still 19, 20. They've got experience in the first team and elsewhere, whereas the likes of Brown, etc., haven't got any first team experience. I would have them on the bench, certainly. I would like to see Martinez up front, just because he's the only striker scoring. Carroll, he's scored 1 or 2 goals since come back from injury, but that's it. You know, Antonio, he's not a striker. He had one chance against Man U. He was only going to get one chance. He bottled it a little bit. He put straight at De Gea. Now, yeah, okay, people do say aim for the middle of their legs, because a lot of the time that's the best place to put it. But a striker, natural striker, would have bent that past De Gea, put it to a side of him. Simple as that. But what about Mark Noble, Jason? Noble was, so you could say, injured against Leicester, and that's why he was only on the bench and he didn't come on at all. Would you put him back in, or would you like to use it as an experiment to keep Noble out and maybe play Fernandes and Obiang, just see that it's still different? Because the centre midfield against Man U were excellent, lots of energy, they were fantastic, and Man City is going to have a very similar setup to Man U.
That's what I was saying. Along that three, it's going to be, the contention is going to be between Lanzini, Obiang, and I think it's going to be between Noble and Fernandes sort of getting that run. But I don't know. I mean, Village seems to love, not scapegoating Lanzini, but he loves chopping and changing him in and around. So I think if anyone's the likeliest to be dropped, it will probably be Lanzini out of the three. But I mean, at the same time, you've got to look at these players across the board have played however many games in over a space of a week. I mean, any one of them, I wouldn't mind being dropped in case of a fully fit Noble, because you like to say, I know Antonio is super fit, these athletes are super fit, but you know, to go with that intensity of the Premier League over a short space of time, I think is going to take their toll on anyone. And I feel as though they're the one place we can sort of afford to sort of chop and change it around is in the centre of midfield and our striking options.
Yeah, I mean, I think our centre midfield got a little rest, actually, because Obiang was suspended for Leicester. Lanzini didn't play at Leicester. Noble didn't play against Man United. They've all missed a game. Between them, they've all missed a game. Charlie, what about yourself? Is this now our priority? I mean, hopefully we can all agree we're not going to get relegated. We ain't going to qualify for Europe. So we're going to be, 15th to 8th in that area somewhere. So should we be making the FA Cup a priority? And actually, this, in my opinion, this season can still be more successful than last season. And that is by this competition.
Well, yeah, precisely. I think you hit the nail on the head there. But I was having a conversation with someone the other day, and we all agreed that if we bomb out of the FA Cup very quickly, there's pretty much nothing else to play for. So it's an accumulation of complete and utter failures which go through. Yes, we've been dealt a tough card in City, but we also haven't taken chances against teams like Dom Charlie, etc. Where we just like an Astra Gugu, like we look Gugu. We fail against those kind of teams where we should be like succeeding. Is it going to be a failure of a season? No, because I personally believe that we're going to have a reverse season of last season, where this season we've started off really poorly. I believe we're going to end up strong. I think if we get our heads round cost management, we're actually going to have a good transfer window. Doesn't matter like whether our past has been bad or not. I think it's possible, and if we do, that's going to give us right momentum. And I think as a league position, I'm predicting anywhere between 8th to 10th, and I think that's pretty much just around where we are last season, with nothing really else to play for, if you get what I mean. FA Cup, though, however, I think that's going to be very important for us for momentum. Where if we beat City and we do go through, it's gonna help us in the league, so to speak, but only because of morale and mentality. The fans will be uplifted that we've had a good win, and we can get back to focusing on the positives as opposed to the negatives.
Yourself, Jason, would you like to see Bilic make this his priority now? I know we're talking about rotation and that, and it is important, but do you think that, remember, I suppose under Pardew in 2006, he was willing to sacrifice league points. Coming to the end of the FA Cup competition, he was willing to rest players in the league and just sacrifice points to get to the final. Do you think that's what Bilic needs to do in the latter rounds if we get there?
But yeah, absolutely. I mean, even you think with the first team players, if they go into these games with an FA Cup game around the corner, that's going to be in the back of their mind of, I don't really want to, I don't want to go in for that 50-50 challenge. I don't really want to play to get that dirty tackle in and get sent off or something like anything that's going to jeopardize going into these games. But, we're in the cup competition. Sure, we've been given that tough round, but, we're eventually going to come against the Man City or, an Arsenal or a Chelsea or whomever. It's almost just a swings and roundabouts, really. You might as well just take on the big boys early. But I feel as though with how our season will pan out, if we do progress through the FA Cup as well, I'd like to see in the latter stages of the season, blood through some of these youngsters, almost like sort of how Southampton, Spurs, they brought through all these young players sort of come through. Given that game time, there'll be their opportunity to come through in the Premier League games to sort of stake a claim to the shirt. Blood them in. If we reach that 40 points mark sooner rather than later, then even better. We can consolidate and push on from the next season with at least more of a first team ready second string, for lack of better term, and push on from there.
Yeah, I'll get you two final thoughts and a score prediction in a minute, so have a think. But we want to know your opinion at home as well. What team do you want to see? We're talking here, do we rotate and bring in some of the players that in football you'd like to see them? Do you bring in some of the youth, or do you play your strongest 11 and really go for Man City by the throat? You can let us know in the comments below. Come onto our forum at hammerschat.com. It's 2017. Be kind and drop a subscription on the channel. Charlie, how confident are you for this one, and what's your score prediction?
No, not confident, mate. Come on, let's be honest. I think for me, just going to be very, very quick, that people say that we're losing the soul of the club. That is all entirely, it's a superficial statement. The soul of the club is the fans, are the fans even. And if we're going to be letting ourselves down, we're letting the club down in the sense. We are still West Ham. We're the fans that will always be there, no matter what the stadium, what the players or the manager. If we give up on that, then we lose the soul of the club. What I have to say, the point is that if the fans don't get behind the team, then the team will fail. So if we don't get behind the players, we're never going to get these results, and home's only going to get worse and worse. I think we're going to lose the game because I don't think the fans are comfortable yet. And I don't think that when we go 1 goal down, like last season at Upton Park, which I'm not saying Viva Upton Park, it wasn't always great. But last season, when we went 1 goal down, the fans all stood up. We all got behind them, and it was incredible. And that does help. I'm going to go for 2-0 loss because I don't think we're ready there. I don't think we're used to being at home as fans yet.
What about yourself, Jason? Same questions. Are you confident? Get your neck on the line. What's your score prediction?
You know, it's the old cliche, the magic of the cup. Friday night, under the lights, anything can happen, if I'm being completely honest with you. I think Man City will probably play a good couple of the youngsters. They'll probably give Iheanacho a run out, Brahim Diaz, Alex Garcia, so on and so forth. So these are the sort of players that they're odds on they're going to start, because Pep started them in their EFL Cup games as well. So he's not afraid to play the youth at the same time. I think if we can just get at their defence, get at Caballero, who's probably going to start, or even Claudio Bravo, we both know they're quite suspect, as well as their defence, especially with Kolarov in the back three or wherever they're going to line up. I feel like to go for a score, I would say we'll probably, if I'm going to go with my heart, I want to go over 1-0. We get a scrappy goal or whatever, and then we just dogged defence, and then we grind out for a win. But we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, I'm copying Jason's words a little bit here. It's not just the magic of the cup for me. It's kind of like, I don't know, the magic of the dream of European football at West Ham. I think that's sometimes, I get what Charlie's saying about the crowd, but I felt against Man U, I felt the crowd did get up off their feet when we went a goal down. When Feghouli got sent off, the crowd got up off their feet and they made their voices heard. Phil Jones couldn't touch the ball for the next 50 minutes without the place echoing with boos all around him. You know, but I think against Man U, that's when I thought the fans stood up, and they stood up as one, if you like, and thought, you know what, you're right, the fans do make the place. And I know what you said about the soul. I think it's more about losing our identity rather than losing our soul. I think some people just word it slightly wrong. I get what you're saying though. But I think the FA Cup could do this. It could give us a little injection of excitement back into our season. I still think this season can be a successful one, and it goes to the FA Cup and also goes to youth players. If you were to tell me at the start of the season you'll finish 10th, but you'll, I don't know, get in the semi-finals of the FA Cup and you'll see Brown and Oxford and Martinez all make 5 to 6, 10 appearances each, I would take it at the start of the season. So this season could still be a successful one, but I think it heavily relies on Friday night. I think we really have to go for it and make sure that we just give the fans something. We just give them something to get excited about and kickstart. Not kickstart season, is more than halfway through the season now, but just give them something to look forward to between now and May. Because if we're out the FA Cup, it's almost like our season. It's not finished, but
yeah, I know what you mean.
What we're playing for, 9th in the league, woohoo! You know, it's not really enough to. You know, we'll still turn up. We'll still cheer the fans. We'll still cheer them on. But for a season that started full of optimism, it's almost finished by the 7th of January or whatever. It'd be a bit, is that it? You know, talk about, you know, build your hopes up and just get them smashed. The FA Cup, I think, is huge for us. But anyway, want to hear your score predictions. I'm going for 2-1 West Ham. Jason's going for 1-0 West Ham. Charlie's going for a 2-0 loss. Want to hear yours. Chat. Make sure you subscribe. We'll be back live Friday night, straight after the game's finished on this channel. Come back and have a listen. Whether we win, lose, or draw, we'll be here, and hopefully you will be too. Thank you for watching.